my brother Kendall.
I'm sailing with my brother Kevin
On Gadzooks, baby!
Ahoy, Flying Scot and other sailors. I am Sailing Brother Kevin from sailingwithmybrother.com and the YouTube channel Sailing with My Brother, where we host a variety of sailing videos on our continuing efforts to win Flying Scot regattas. We now have about 100 or so racing videos, as well as another 50 or so shorts. We have a small but respectable number of followers, and we see them throughout regatta sites all over the country. To a person, they all say the same thing. Your videos are great. We watch them all the time. But how do you guys put together such awesome videos? We tell them it's not easy, and if they want to produce their own videos, and we also hope that they will, that it typically takes somewhere between 8 and 10 hours of production time per hour of video, but it's well worth it. While we have videos on the equipment we use, where we place the equipment, and how we use the video to improve our performance, this video discusses the actual process we go through when we take our raw videos from multiple cameras to make a race video. So with that, let's get started. Let me talk a little bit about our equipment and where we mount it, just very briefly. We use a Insta360 1X2 in the front and an Insta360 RS1 in the back. Both of these are 360 cameras. They both have lenses pointing forward and aft, and they also capture video in true 360 format, so overhead and underneath as well. Connected to one of these cameras is a GPS unit that you can see down here mounted just below the forward camera on the tabernacle. This GPS unit collects information such as speed, direction, heading, inclination, slope, etc. A lot of the information we don't use, and none of the information is available to us as we're sailing. It is embedded into the video of whichever camera that we are actually connecting the GPS unit to. Now that we've collected the video on the cameras, what we really do next is we download all of the information onto a Mac for processing, and that's what we're here really to talk about. But before I get into that, let me talk a little bit about battery life and file management. I know a lot of you are interested in replicating some of what we do, if not all of what we do, so having some background into actually how we collect the information and then how we process it is crucial. The first thing we do is we put in a 256 gigabyte micro SD card into each camera. This is enough storage space to capture at least 5 hours of racing. After each race, we shut off the camera and we change the batteries, and we don't turn the cameras back on until the 1 minute alert signal, which is 6 minutes before the start signal. We each turn on a camera so that they're running in time for the warning signal. Once we finish a race, we shut off the cameras, we change the batteries, but we don't change the micro SD cards until the end of the day. We have 5 batteries for each camera, and then we have a multi-charger for recharging the batteries overnight. The cameras capture video in 29-minute segments. So for a 40-minute race, plus a 5-minute warning gun, plus the 1-minute alert signal, plus some 1 to 5 minutes after the race for each camera to run and then for us to turn it off, the camera's capturing between 50 and 55 minutes of video. And since the videos are captured in 29-minute aliquots, there are 2 videos per camera and 2 cameras per race. So that's 4 videos that need to be collected and aligned and synchronized. Let's take a minute to just get an overview of the steps involved. Essentially, there are 5 steps to the process. First, you take each one of the Insta360 videos and you establish the focus for each of the cameras. So for the front camera, we typically focus it aft toward us throughout the entire race so that we can see what our boat handling practices are like. Then That's an opportunity for the back camera to look around because you want the back camera to tell you where you are on the race course with respect to the other competitors, as well as can you see wind, etc., from the back camera. So once we've established the focal points or the foci for each the front and the back cameras, we then export those out as MP4 files and we bring each one into iMovie. We overlay the front and back cameras for a picture-in-picture inset, and then we synchronize the videos, and then we make sure that we locate the inset picture in the right place throughout the video. We export that as an intermediate video then. The third step is we add a bunch of video components. So we add the intro, we add the outro, we add title slides, we add transitions, we add the 5-minute countdown timer. Now we're essentially done, and we export our final video. We then write up our YouTube information in a text editor, such as Notes or Word. We also grab a thumbnail image off of the final exported video, and then we ultimately are ready to publish on YouTube. And the total time for a 40-minute race video with 2 cameras can be around 6 hours per race. So if you think about it, a regatta, which might be 5 races, it's about 30 to 35 hours of work. So basically a week full time is what you're doing. At the end, you want to write a summary of some 5 to 10 things you want to work on for the next regatta that you gleaned from this whole process, which takes about another hour. Certainly, you want to talk that over with your crew, and that's really, really crucial. So that's sort of an overview of what we do for each race that we've got. Let's get into the details now, and we'll start with the file structure. What we find is we're going to use our Ephraim regatta as an example. And we collected 3 days worth of video, even though there were only 2 days worth of racing. We're only going to talk about one racing and actually only one race. We're going to talk about race 4, which was our best race, which happened on the second day, which was the 4th of August. So before we even start and we collect the video off the micro SD cards, I create a date folder. So I've got a 2024 Ephraim folder, and then I create a folder underneath that with the actual date. And then I take the micro SD card out of the camera, I put it into the card reader on the computer, and I then create 2 subfolders under the folder where I want to collect the races for that day. One called front for the front camera, that would be the 1X2, and one for the rear camera, which is the RS1. Then I copy the DCIM folder for each of these from the micro SD card into the front and rear folder. And what you'll see is that each camera has the same file structure. There's a DCIM folder. Underneath that is a camera 01 folder. And then there are a whole series of data files that are your videos. The only ones that we are interested in are the ones that begin with LRV on the file name. Remember, the camera collects the video in 29-minute aliquots. So if a race is, say, 40 minutes, you're going to have 2 files for each video. So you get 1 and 2 would be race 1, 3 and 4 would be race 2, 5 and 6 would typically be race 3, and then 7 and 8 would be race 4 for that given day. Now, in this case, what I notice is that file number 5 is very, very small. And so it's like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense because typically the start to the first 30 minutes is, close to 2 gigabytes. This is obviously some sort of a trailer or intermediate file. I would check it, and if I double click on it, it'll open up and launch the Insta360. And what we notice is, in fact, if I look here, it's a 20-second file. And I know from using this that this is not something that I want, so I'm going to remove it. Do not delete it. Do not delete original file. Remove it from your Insta360 software. And so what we're interested in then for race 4 is files 6 and 7. Now, You need the rest of these files, all of the vid files. The LRV files are your coordinating files, but the vid files are where the actual data resides. So if you, for example, want to open the first part of race number one of that given day, you open the LRV file, but then the other two vid files, one is for the front lens, one is for the rear lens. And so it references that as you're going through. So you make sure you collect all of the DCIM folder information, camera 01 data files, etc. But you're only interested in looking at one file at a time. So we're going to look at and go through the process of what we look at for race number 4, which is in this case for the front camera, it is files 6 and 7. We're only going to look at file number 6 and we'll open that up into the Insta360 software. And here we go. I'm not going to go through all of the details of how you use the Insta360. There are a number of tutorials out there, and I will happily put those into the description of this video, but I will give you some quick overviews of what we see in this. First of all, it's a 360, so you can manipulate the image all the way around. You can look straight up, okay? Straight up the mast if you want. You can look straight down into the hole of the tower, well, the hole where the camera is mounted. Here's the GPS unit. There's the board. That's the bottom. That's where we actually, it's a lifting bridle. Okay, is stowed there. You can zoom out until you get what they call tiny planet so that you're seeing all around you all the time. If I look up, for example, I can see the top of the mast, I can see the jib, I can see the back end of the boat, etc. Okay. So what we do, what I try to do is I set the view on this camera so that the corners come in at about the chain plates on the shrouds. So I zoom in a little bit more, right about there. I set the tilt so that I think I can see Kendall when he stands up, as well as what his footwork is like. And that gives me a pretty good perspective looking back. I then hit this plus down here. That is your keyframe. And I hit that right at the beginning. I'm not going to change any of this information. I'll click off of it. And then I will do one other thing. I will come over here to the camera and I will make sure that direction lock is locked. Okay. And that will hold the camera looking aft the entire time. I don't know which camera this GPS unit was connected to. So I'll look at my GPS information and I'll look at, I want to expand it because I want to look at speed. If there was no GPS information, there would be nothing pop up. In fact, this icon would be missing. So I know the GPS unit is connected. So I'm going to add speed. I definitely want to add route. That's very important. I probably won't add any of the other information. Inclination can be useful. It's always wrong, but it can give you some relative information. You can't customize these graphics. On this one, you can't even delete BMW Motorrad stamp. So I want to use a different one. And the one that I have generally found works the best is the futuristic one. And I have to double click it, and then I can size these guys. So let's size them down. Okay. We'll say inclination is 1 degree. We'll slide him up. We're going to take the size of the speedometer and we're going to shrink him a bit because we don't want to take up so much real estate. Whoa, don't lose that. I want this guy. And let's put him down in the lower left-hand corner. And then the route, we will select him and I'll put him down in the lower right-hand corner. Now, one of the things you can do, we know that this is before the start because he's looking at his watch. And so we know that the start line is somewhere, we're sailing back and forth across here. And we know that the pin is somewhere up here. So if we orient this a little bit, what we can do is basically falsify a course direction. And then we can actually then move the whole thing down in the bottom corner here so that it can be seen the full time in the frame. And this one is just a little bit too small. So I'm going to make him just a little bit bigger. Slide him back up. Whoop. Slide him back up. There, now we can see him. Now, and I might want to make him just a little bit bigger too. Let's see if we can do that. There we go. And we'll move him up like that. Okay, and what you see is we made a couple of tacks up here. We went around, we came back around, we went through the gate, and then we went way. So the first upwind, we went way left. The second upwind, we went way right. All right. Now, notice the speedometer is in kilometers per hour. So I want to change that. I go over here to the advanced, and I change the units to the imperial system. And that changes our speed to 3 miles per hour. Inclination, healing one way is negative, healing the other way is positive. I guess I'm going to need to make that just a hair bigger so it can be seen because this is going to be the inset image. There we go. With that, all we do is we process it. We just go through. Whoa! I don't know what the heck that was. But that is what happened. With the direction lock, you can see that everything is moving quite well. I'll turn the volume down here a little bit. And we just let this run for 29 minutes. And that way we have our processed video. And actually, I don't even have to, I don't think, let it run for 29 minutes. I can just run it through. It's going to watch us the whole time. Now, see, it slipped. So I want to come back somewhere here. I'm going to want to reset my keyframe. So we'll reset it here. Okay. And we'll hit continue to play.
Nancy, you got it. We haven't got this.
All right. So we'll just go ahead and continue on. This is cheating. We'll stop here, reset the frame again. I'm going through it very quickly. I've actually done this video already once before. Might have to zoom out a little bit. I can't see where the other shroud must be behind the outhaul line right here. So let's get it lined up. Zoom in just a hair. There. We'll hit another keyframe. Okay. I recommend you watch the video the whole way. It becomes much better for you. You learn more from it. But I'm going to do this quickly. Run right through it here. It looks like we're holding firm. We'll go ahead and hold firm all the way. We'll let it run. Okay, we'll let it run for the last couple of seconds here, and then we will process this video. And I won't make you sit through the whole boring process, but basically you go to the file menu, which you can't see, which is fine, and you say export file, export. It pops up with this dialog box. I then create an intermediate video. So this is race 4. It is the front camera, and it is the first video in the series. So we're going to call it race 4 front A, R4FA, and I'm going to change the folder that I want to put it in. There we go. And we'll say open, and it goes through, you start the export, and you can see the process task center. So there, under task center, you can see the process, and it is going through, and it takes quite a while. So we'll come back in just a bit. That pretty much covers the front camera for the first part of the race. The back camera is the same process. So it's actually undergoing a rendering right now. And I am going to take a look now at the back camera because it is just a little bit different. And so, done with the front camera. The back camera, you'll notice, has only 6 videos. So 5 and 6 are the last 2 races. So we'll grab 5, we'll put him in here. Now, one of the things you're going to notice pretty quickly is that I have already rendered, or at least identified, what I want the camera to look at. And so I'm not going to go through this whole process again. I will just show you what I've done. So each one of these dots down here is when I pressed the keyframe plus right here. And what you'll see if I hit go, and I'm going to go ahead and just hit stop on that, is the camera is going to look around. And I don't know that I can go any faster than this on this. But what I'm doing now is I'm moving the camera around. You can see there I'm moving the camera, the focus away from us and out toward some of the other boats. And now I'm actually going behind the boat to see what's going on behind us. And so that's how you can do that with the keyframes. So we're going to go ahead and let this render as well. And then the next step is we're going to put it into iMovie and show you how we punch the whole thing together and line it up. That gets a little bit more tedious. It's a little bit time consuming, etc. But it's definitely worthwhile. Now you should have 4 files that are all MP4s. For this race, we're done with the Insta360 software, but we're not ready to publish it either. We need to conjoin the 4 race videos into one single video. And since we're doing picture-in-picture, we need to align the front and rear cameras twice. This is the most boring and, for what it accomplishes, tedious part of the entire process. But I'll show you how this works. So if I look over at my content over here, this is iMovie. All right, and you can see actually I'm in the middle of creating this video. I've got a rollover crane video that I'm working on, and this is sort of a summary of where we're going. So we create a new video, and you have a choice between movie and trailer, and we're creating a new movie. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I am not a iMovie expert. This is how I do it. If you come up with better ways to do it, put it in the comments, let me know. Okay, so we have our project here, and what's important is you need to have My Movie 1 highlighted. And what we can do is we can take all 4 movies here, and we can drag and drop them into the media folder here. Okay, now we're done with Finder, so I can move that out of the way. And each of these is a little different. I'm not sure. This is obviously the rear camera, and it appears to be the start. This one here is also the rear camera. This one here is the rear camera. It appears to be the start, and our front camera, and this is also the front camera. One of the things that you can notice is as I hover over, it tells you how long the videos are. Okay, so this first one is 29 minutes. The next one is 9.8. The third one is 29, and the fourth one is 6.2. So what that tells me is that the starts of the races are in this first one and in this third clip. So what we do is we drag the first one down. Whoa, excuse me. Make sure you click off and drag only one. Okay, so we'll drag this first one down into there, and we'll drag the second one down into there. What we have here are tracks. We have an audio video track here and an audio video track here. The upper audio video track is the inset picture. So we click on that and we come up here, we make sure that we have this little icon selected. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. And we click in picture in picture. And what that does is it puts the upper track inside a picture in the lower track. And we can move this around, etc. The thing that I have found works the best is getting it very close to one corner and bringing it down, not quite all the way. And then I like to add a wide, dark border to it. Now this gets moved around during the course of the video processing because, we don't want it blocking our heads or other boats, etc. So now we have sort of the start of it set up. Now the other thing that we've got to do is align the audio. Now before we get into that, one other thing I want to point out is this little guy here is your expander bar. All the way expanded is the best when you're working on little tiny movements, maybe a frame or two. That's very important when you're trying to line up a sound. So that's one thing. And then the third thing I want to point out is that each audio track can be adjusted in volume separately, anywhere from 0 to 400%. So we're going to start with the non-inset picture. And I want to point out something. You can hit play. There. That right there was the 4-minute horn. Okay? Notice my hand is up. It says 4. I'm even saying 4 minutes. That horn started. I'll try and get it here. Right there. So the horn started right there. Okay? Now we can mark that point. That's very useful to know. And we can mark that point in the, you can't see it, but in the pull down menus, there is a mark option and add marker. And I put it in the wrong place. I wanted it to go on the lower track. So we'll right click on this marker and we'll delete it. And we'll pick it right there, right there. We'll come up here. We'll add the marker again. Mark, add marker. There we go. That is where the horn starts. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the volume down on the outset track and we're going to listen to the inset track. And starting at the beginning, and watch just the inset video. Don't worry about the big video. In fact, to make this easier, we'll just simply go cutaway. And now we're only looking at the inset video. So go ahead and hit go. And we're waiting for the 4-minute horn. Now, Kendall said something. Minute 40. So already we're too far. So let's go until we get to the 1-minute horn. Three. Okay, that's the 1-minute horn. Now, we want to view that because you can see it in the audio track. You see right here? I'll bet that's the horn. Let's go ahead and come back here and we'll hit go. Nope, that was a jib cleat snap. Those are very useful. All right, we may come back to that. All right, so the horn may have been up here. Let's see. Yep, okay. We're going to need to scroll back just a little bit farther. And probably the horn starts right there. Let's just see. Okay. So the horn started about right there. Maybe here. Yep. Okay. So we're going to say it started right here. That's the 1-minute horn. Okay. So we're going to mark that. Whoop. Go up here. We'll add a marker. Mark. Add marker. That's our 1-minute horn. Now we've got to find the 1-minute horn on the other one. So we will now raise the audio track on the lower one, set it to 100%. The 1-minute gun would have been at 3 minutes. That is the 1-minute gun, right? There. Let's zoom it out, and you might be able to see. No, you really can't tell, but that's okay. Let's come back. Yeah, okay, the gun, the horn is right there. You can see it based on what that shows, and we're going to hit a marker on that. Mark, add marker. All right, now we're going to zoom back out. And we're going to line those two markers up. Slide this one back. And now we'll have to zoom in again to get them locked in. Okay, now we're close. We're not dead nuts on. All right, so we're going to back up here a little bit. And now what you do is you listen for echoes. So we're going to go again. And we may not hear any, which would be good. We're hearing echoes. Now the question is, which way do we move the video? And I don't know the answer to that. Let's just listen some more here. You see Kendall's cleat here? Oh, and by the way, we should go back to making this in picture. Put that back up here. That way we can see both what's going on. Go here. We'll worry about this picture here in a little bit. Okay, so we definitely have an echo. And I'm thinking, if I look at it here, this guy, this drop in the audio is this drop. So I think I have to move this one back a little bit till those two are lined up. That's pretty close. There we go. Let's see how it sounds now. No echo. So now we're lined up. So these tracks are now lined up, and we are in good shape for that one. Then we have to do the same thing with the other two tracks. This guy here, which will go down here, and this guy here, which will go over here. And actually what you have to do is you either have to terminate this one early to line up with the bottom one, or you have to line up the audio on this one along with the audio on that one. And it's honestly not worth it. So, and again, let's go back and get this one picture in picture. So we don't want to do cutaway. We want to do picture in picture. And again, we'll scroll this up in here, make him a little bit bigger like that. Add a large black border. All right. Once you have everything lined up and you're happy with that, the next thing you want to do before you leave this is you want to move your picture in picture. So that's going to be dependent on where you want it throughout the course of the video. And I'm just going to show you the technique that I use. And to do that, I'm going to turn the volume down. So once we get in here, and I'm going to need to blow this up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be blown up a little bit. Because what I don't want to do is have this picture in my head. See how it's covering my head there? And I'm going to leave it there for this pre-start maneuver. But eventually I'm going to move it, and I'll show you what you do there to move this picture to another side of the frame. Once we get a good spot where we know we're going to want to do that, okay, we're getting close. And in fact, we'll just go ahead and do that right here. Okay, so what we do is we split this clip. So we make sure that the clip is activated. we have it where we want it, and we right click and we say split clip. Now there's not going to be any time difference between here and here. It's seamless. But when we activate this one, now we can move our window, our inset picture. And so now I'm going to play just the last few seconds, and you'll see this picture move from over here to over here, right there. Now that was abrupt, so to make it not so abrupt, what you can do is fade out and fade in. And to fade out, you do this, and to fade in, you do that. And so now watch what happens again when we play through this. Okay, fades out, fades back in on the other side. It's a little easier to watch. It's a little bit more gentle on the eyes. So it works pretty well, and I do this for every tack and every jibe. And it's really worthwhile to do because it ends up giving you a very nice video to watch. So you just do that repeatedly over and over throughout the videos. When you are all done and you've got all of your picture-in-pictures moved to the locations where you want them to be, you go ahead and you process it. Again, you go up to your File pull-down menu, you select File, Share, Social Platforms. You get a dialog box that comes up. This is still an intermediate, so don't worry about it. We're going to call this Ephraim Race 4. Yeah, and we want to make sure that you can add anything you want in the description and in the tags. It doesn't matter at this point. The resolution needs to be at the highest resolution. Select Next, and we are going to put this into our video processing info folder, which is where we've had a number of other things, and we'll go ahead and hit save. It's processing, and you can see the status of the processing by watching this little guy right here. Now, there's one more step in iMovie that you have to go through after this is processed, and I'll come back and show you how to do that. One of the challenges that I forgot to mention was how to transition from when the camera stops recording to when the camera starts recording again. Again, it stops at 29 minutes and it starts up again, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that transition. If we go back to our Race 4 Intermediate, and what we see here in this section is, and I'll just play it real quick, what we see is that when that camera transitions across, it's very abrupt. And on top of that, that inset picture is not appropriate and not lined up any longer because I didn't continue to go forward. You see how I've just transitioned there? So what we should do is first we should split off the inset picture. So we split the clip. We're just going to take this section here and we're just going to delete it. It's not really gaining anything. And then we come over here to transitions, and what I've found is that the cross dissolve works best. Now, when we go through the transition, you'll see it here. It has a nice little fade blend, if you will, with it. There it goes. So there just went through the transition. Now we lost, obviously, the inset picture for a couple of minutes, but that's okay. When I processed this video, I did not have that transition in, but that's okay for the next step. We're going to show you the process for the next step. So to do the next step, I'm going to again create a new video, new movie, and we are going to bring in the Ephraim Intermediate video. All right, and you see it's 35 minutes, and we're going to just drop it into the editor here. Now, some of the things that we're going to do, we could have done in the previous step, but I find it easier to do them all now at this step. I have a whole slew of canned videos here. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to add our intro. So we're going to bring that in, put it in at the beginning. We're going to bring in our outro, which is this one, and put that at the end, if it lets me. There we go. And the other thing that we're going to do, we need a 5-minute timer. And the one I want is this one. And it's going to go in here somewhere, and I'll explain where that goes in just a second. And then there's one other one that I want to add. I have a simple windward, leeward, windward movie, and I'm going to put that right here. Now we're going to add a title, and I like to add the 3-line title here. We'll put that right there. And the 3-line title, I like to add what the regatta is, Ephraim Regatta, race 4, and the date, August 4, 2024. Now, to keep this to stick, you have to click outside of that. So now we come through, we get our little intro, we go in, we get our title, we go through, we get our course thing, and then we start our video. Now, to do this properly, you need transitions between each one. So I like to transition based on what's coming. And so first I'll fade to black here. Next I will fade to white here. Next I'll fade to white again, going to here. Now the next thing is I like to keep the title. The title really needs to be 4 seconds in order for somebody to see it properly. Okay, so to do that, we're going to have to blow this up a little bit. We don't have to blow it up that far, but we do have to blow it up about there. And we bring it out to 4 seconds. Because the transitions take up a ½ second on each side. And this one needs to be 4 seconds also. And this is a video. So, okay, we're going to just play it from here and see how it goes. So there's our title slide, and then we have just a quick 4-second video that walks through the course, and that's it. And then we start in. All right. In this race, there was a general recall, and so the recall started again around, I don't know, 4 minutes or so in. But if I take this, notice that the timer is on a green screen. So I select that, I select this guy, and I select green blue screen. Now my timer is down in the lower left-hand corner of the video. And I cannot put a third track up above the inset video in the previous step. So I have to put this in a follow-up step. And so since I have to put this in a follow-up step, let's just get the basic video done, get the picture-in-picture located, get the transition from camera when it shuts down to the camera when it turns on, and then process that. And then I can do a final process step. And what I like to do, I'll have to blow it up to do this. Somewhere in here is 0 seconds is the start. So the start is right about there. Okay, and the start on the video isn't for a while yet. Let's see, here we go. We're before that. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. And all right, now we're going to have to turn the volume up. We'll go ahead and hit play. Okay, so right there is the start. So we bring this over until we see start at the horn. And of course I could use the marker to help in that. Okay, we'll play it again. So there you go. Now we got our start lined up and it's set to go. And I'll scroll back out all the way. So we don't have to do any more with the green screen. Again, transition, I like to do, for this one, I have often done a page curl, or I've done a spin outs. I like to do the spin outs. Then I do a title. Again, I use the three-point title, and from there I fade to black. Go back to transitions here. I fade to black before I go into the outro video. Okay, so this title, what I do is I say, again, Flying Scot Ephraim Regatta. And I might even, on this one, I might say 2024, 2024. And then for the Gadzooks, placed 4th of 23 boats, I believe. 3rd, excuse me, it was 3rd. 3rd, 23 boats. And here I would say our best performance to date. Some sort of something, okay? And I might even add a smiley face or something like that. And again, click outside. I would do a fade to black at the very end. Now we are done. We process this and we are ready to go. And if you, ideally what you want to do is do it one more time, because what you really would like to do is find an image here that captures the essence of the race. Okay? And maybe this is the one. Maybe we want to capture this one. So I'll do a screen capture, Command Shift 4, and I'll just grab this, and this is for a thumbnail. There we go. We have this, and okay, I'll close it, and it's a screenshot, so I'll look at the screenshot again, and now here's the screenshot, and I have to export this as a JPEG, because otherwise it's too large. Export, and needs to be a JPEG, so we'll call this EPH R4 thumbnail. Okay, and we need that for YouTube. Okay, so we're done with that. We've got our thumbnail, we've got our full thing, and I'll just run through from the start. And I really recommend, you guys come up with intro and outro video with great music. It does make a difference. Oh, speaking of music, I forgot. We want to do audio and video. And I do a lot of canned audio and video, and I'll do sound effects here. Let's see. I want a 9-second, music. I want like a 9 or a 10-second thing. I might take this one and drop him down here so that he goes during the title, and then I might do this outro 4-second thing here. These are things that I made up in GarageBand. So now let's just watch and listen to it. So here's our intro video. When people play this, they know it's us. Huge branding benefit. There we go. A little bit about the race. Now the course. Then we go in, we watch the video, and I'll take us to the end. And it all blends. And so there you have it. Everything looks good. So now we process it. And again, that is, you can't see it, but you go up to iMovie File, Share, Social Platforms, and you give it a name. And then this would be 2024 Flying Scot Ephraim Regatta Race 4. And again, we're doing the full thing. We hit next We make sure we know where we want it. We want it in our video processing info folder. We hit save, and now we're done. We allow this to process. I will come back and give you the final step on how to launch it up into YouTube as soon as this is done processing. We are on the last and final step. We are about to upload to YouTube, but there are a few steps you need to do before you get started. And it's much easier to do it now than it is later. The first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we have a good descriptive title. Secondly, we want a nice set of text in there. Third, we want to load up our chapters. Auto chaptering in YouTube does not work for a contiguous video, so you need to clearly set up what your chapters are. On the description, often we'll ask AI to help us with that. You need your thumbnail, and we have that thumbnail. It's here, ready to go. This is our final movie. And so now we're just about ready. We will go ahead and we've got everything set. So we'll come over to our YouTube channel. We click on Create, Upload Video, and we start with the video that we've got. And we want this guy to go right into there. And he goes in. He's working on it. This is, in fact, the title that we want. The description, bring this over. We just copy paste, and it's so much easier if you have it ready to go beforehand. Then it's just goes so much faster. You need to add a space and then add your chapters in the description. Let's see, go there, hit return, Control V. We want our thumbnail. So again, we will slide this back over. Where's our thumbnail? Right here. We add our thumbnail right there. That's our thumbnail. We want to add a playlist that it goes to. And here you can add a new playlist if you don't have one. We already have the E from Regatta, so we will put it there. Click that one, say done. None of our videos are made for kids, but we also have no age restrictions. All right, the next several screens, you just click next, next, and next. And you go ahead and hit publish when you're all done. And that is how we do our videos. Thanks for joining us. We're grateful, and we hope that you take up the mantle too and work on doing your own videos. Hopefully you'll improve on our process, and hopefully you'll have better videos out there than we have. Until then, this is Sailing Brother Kevin from Gadzooks Flying Scot 5954, wishing you all fair winds and smooth waters. Thank you.
I'm sailing with my brother Kendall. I'm sailing with my brother Kevin. On Gadzooks, baby!